Yes, what's your question?
So you're saying jewelry and you say sa. Do you spell it S-A?
S-A.
S-A, okay. And then the cartouche, I didn't get the word for that, the Kemetic word for that.
Is shin. I didn't say that, which I meant. Thank you for bringing that up. I think
Shen.
I said it, I didn't spell it. S-H-E-N.
E-N. And soup bitty, I didn't get the spelling for that one.
I will spell it, but you're gonna get a list, a working list, but I'll spell it N-S-W-T bitty, B-I-T-Y, Nasut bitty. In the ancient language, the Kmtu uses consonants and they leave out vowels. So I just spelled the ancient way of the ancient letters, Nasut Biti. I left out the vowels, but usually you put an E in a word that has only consonants so that you can pronounce it and articulate it. And we're going to speak about that more when we look at the alphabet and all of the other grammar. There's a few more. Sphinx. What do we call the Sphinx in the ancient language?
Is that Haramakhet?
Haramaketi.
Yes, Benjamin. Say it again.
Haramaketi. Is that how you pronounce it?
Exactly. Exactly. Haru M. Aketi. The next word is Nile. N-I-L-E is a Western word, but we want the ancient word.
Happy.
Is what?
Happy.
Okay, everybody has that? Happy.
You.
Iteru is river. Happy, that is a word in itself. It's a iteru, I-T-E-R-U, which is river. Mummy. Anyone knows the word, the ancient word for mummy?
Be Sahu.
The Sahu. Yes, S-A-H-U. I have two more words. Pyramid.
Merkut.
Merkut. Merkut. M-E-R-K-H-U-T. The last word. Well, this is a concept. Many gods. Even though we don't use the word gods.
Ntchr.
Ntchr. With a U at the end. N-T-E-R-U. Ntchr. We're going to speak more about Ntchr referring to spiritual warriors or healers. We have a list of Ntchr and the meanings and the concepts. So when you get in the book to chapter 1 and 2, we're going to go in depth, speaking and defining Ntchr and Ntchr. I'm going to stop here and continue later, but our guest speaker is the one and only master teacher, Mdw Ntchr. Give us a second.
Imhotep. Ankh Ujasaneb Neb.
Uncle Jasnev.
Jehuti Haru Nebu. De Enu Ankh Ujasaneb. Anajrak Amen. Anuk Amen. Amen. Anajrak Mut. Anuk Mut, Mut. Anajrak Kunsu, Anuk Kunsu, Kunsu. Anajrak Asar, Anuk Asar, Asar. Anajrak Aset, Anuk Aset, Aset. Anajrak Haru, Anuk Haru, Haru. Haru represents higher consciousness, so that's where we're going. Truth, justice, righteous, harmonious balance, so that we're all on the same level. I'm going to give you your kind of historical background today. So even before Kemet came into existence, we have ancient Kash. Tas is known what is in modern day Sudan. So the area we call modern Sudan and Ethiopia was the ancient country of Kash, K-A-S-H. Europeans call it Kush, K-U-S-H. But they don't read the Mdw Ntchr, so they just made some stuff up. K-A-S-H, Kash. So Kash and Kush are synonymous. It's the same place. So when you hear people say, oh, ancient Kush, and then today they'll even say ancient Nubia. But Nubia is also a modern word. Nubia comes from the word Nubu. Nubu means gold. So most of the gold of ancient Kemet came from Kash. So much gold came from there, they call it the land of the gold, which is Nubia. So Nubia means the land of the gold, which would be Kash, which again, I say would be modern day Sudan and Ethiopia, Somalia, all of that area there. Central Africa was called Ntchr. So when you go to Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, the Congo, all that central region there was called Ntchr. Ntchr means the land of the creator, land of divinity. So that's what our ancestors call the central part of Africa, from which we know is the birthplace of humanity. You get a little background, you know that there are 6 types of hominoids in the pantheon of the human family. The last 2 are Homo erectus and Homo sapien. So during the Homo erectus time period, going back maybe 300,000 years ago, plus several groups of Africans left the continent. And they became Neanderthal and Denisovan. So the ancient people in Europe, before Homo sapien became the dominant, was Denisovan, which was mostly Asiatic, and then Neanderthal, which was Western Asiatic. So let me make your statement. Europe is not a continent. Europe is Western Asia. Asia is the continent. So people will say Eurasia. That's because Europeans wrote themselves into history. A continent is a mass of land that's surrounded by water that divides the earth into its major sections. Europe does not fit that description. Europe is just the western part of Asia. Okay, but whoever defines the situation, whoever controls the situation, defines it. So when Europeans came into power after the Romans, then they just made themselves a continent and said, okay, Europe is a continent, but technically it's just Western Asia. So you'll see some people say Eurasia, okay, just put it all together. So I'm back to Denisovan and Neanderthal. They lived through 3 ice ages. So they went through kind of like a metamorphic change. On the African continent, nobody in the African continent has DNA of Neanderthal and Denisovan. Only Europeans and Asiatics have their DNA, and it's anywhere from 3 to 10% Neanderthal and Denisovan. That's the caveman. So we don't have any of the caveman's DNA. Homo sapien, about 300,000 also began to erect and come into play, but he didn't leave the continent to about maybe 150,000 years ago, his first wave, and he stayed along Southern Asia. So if you look all along the southern part of Asia, you see people of color. So if you go to India, some of the darkest people in the world are in India. You go all the way across Papua New Guinea, all the way to the islands, Australia, all of those are dark people. The original people of the 7 islands of Japan, they were all originally dark people. So all of Southern Asia, you'll see melanated people. The closer you got to colder areas like that, the straighter the hair became. Okay, so in India, you have Black people with straight hair, different climate, things like that. The word hair, there's a couple of words for hair, but one of the most used words for hair is nappy in Mdw Ntchr. So I know some of y'all say, oh, that nappy hair. Well, that's a holdover from ancient Kemet. Nappy is the word for hair in Mdw Ntchr. Okay, so a lot of words were held over, you'll see that. Okay, so now you got an idea. So the people who lived in Australia, because now you're dropping down the altitude, that's like going straight across from Tanzania and Kenya. So they got kinky hair or curly hair, curlier or kinky hair. You'll see people in Papua New Guinea and all of that. They got kinky hair like they came straight out the Congo. Okay, all of that. So if you look all the way across, all those people who along the southern belt, once you get past Asia, have either curly hair, and the higher altitudes, then you're going to see straighter hair. If you go up into Denisovan, to further China, Mongolians, now you get lighter skin and straighter hair. And then you come across Neanderthal, moving towards Europe, slightly lighter skin, straighter hair. But nobody is white or totally pale like you see the Europeans today until after the last ice age. Even their anthropologists and archaeologists talk about the pale skinned European that you see today is a product of after the last ice age when they emerged out of the ice with no melanin or a pink melanin. Okay, and so there is no ancient European before the last ice age. The last ice age, so that you can put some dates next to that, is approximately 12,000 years ago. So that's 10,000 BCE. So 12,000 years ago is the last ice age is coming to an end. Water has risen over 200-300 feet. So all of the people who used to live along the coast, and most people lived along the coastal area, they were all wiped out during the last ice. They were wiped out during the floods. People who lived in a higher altitude survived. And so now you get an influx of the mountain cave people coming out of the mountains. We're going through a warming period, and now they began and they wreaked havoc on the planet, and the planet hasn't recovered from them since. Okay, because they were at war with nature. They were anti-nature. We were in harmony with nature, in tune with nature, to be nature-like. They were the opposite. They were at war with nature. To eat, to have food meant to kill something. You're inside of a cave. You have some people there, some Neanderthal and dinosaur, who never saw the sun in their life. You're inside of a cave, and only certain warriors went out to kill a mammoth or a saber-toothed tiger or something and bring it back. So their relationship in Diop's book, he does a beautiful observation. It's also in my book, Spiritual Warriors Are Healers. I talk about the ice people's hexaology versus the African people's hexaology. So the people from the tropics versus the people from, we were trying to be in love with nature. They were trying to control nature. We had a different relationship. Even with men and women had a different relationship. In Europe, if the women didn't obey, the men who were stronger conquered them, beat them, subjugated them. We didn't have that in Africa. See, in Europe, they can say, well, if you don't listen to me, you ain't going to eat. And so she had to be obedient. Or he said, I'm going to kick you out of the cave. You know that wild guy next door? He wanted to eat you anyway. Right? So you're going to be real obedient. Okay, you're going to be real. Now, we couldn't do that in Africa. I can't say, look, baby, if you don't listen to me, I'm not giving you no bananas. She go, I'll go get my own bananas. I ain't giving you no coconuts. I get my own coconuts. In fact, in Africa, women were in charge of the farms. Okay, farming was a universal feminine energy. So many of the men were hunters and gatherers, but the women did. So you can't tell the women stuff like that. She's have to tell you, if you don't act right, you won't eat. Okay, in Mdw Ntchr, the T is synonymous with the feminine energy because women did the baking of the bread. Okay, so if we got some chefs out there, some brother chefs, don't take this personal, okay? My son is a chef. There's no femininity and it has nothing to do with it, okay? So just in ancient Kemet, that was just, they just associated certain things. There was an association. We call it symptomatic thinking. So now we're at the last great flood, approximately 10,000 or 12,000 years ago, 10,000 BCE. The ancient world has come into an end. You might have heard words like Lemuria. You've heard words like Atlantis. Nobody can prove these things factual. We have remnants of ancient civilizations, and we believe that those were two of the great names that the ancient Kmt put out there. Now, the Europeans didn't know nothing about this because they were cavemen. Okay, so if you'll notice, all the movies got all white people in Atlantis. When they do a TV show, they got a TV show Atlantis. It wasn't no white people on the planet during that time. So I just letting you know, whoever controlled the situation defines it. So Atlantis and Lemurian were supposed to be ancient civilizations, one closer to Australia and one closer in the Pacific. So you have the Atlantis and Lemuria. Those were two great, supposedly great civilization. In fact, some people call Jehuti of Atlantis. So he's bringing knowledge from the ancient world, because let me say this, Kemet starts out full blown. It doesn't start from scratch. Do you see the gear that the kings were rocking? I mean, do you see the side they had on? This is thousands of years of experience. Even the Mirkut, if you look at Seneferu, the father of Khufu, he built 3 pyramids. And one of his pyramids, his true pyramid, when you go inside towards the center, there's a giant hole in the ground with monolithic stones that have been weathered. Now, in order for it to be weathered, that means rain and erosion on it. It doesn't rain in the pyramids. So that means this pyramid was built on top of an ancient historic site. It was a power grid. There's grid lines all around the planet Earth, and there's power grids that shoot out specific energy force fields. And sacred temples were built on these force fields and on this grid. And you'll see that the pyramids all around the world fall into grids. If you look at one of my last tapes, I talk about, for example, the 30th parallel. If you look, the Great Pyramid of Giza is on the 30th parallel. If you come all the way down, you'll see that Abu Simbel is on the 30th parallel. You keep going all the way down, and you'll look and you see that Great Zimbabwe is on the 30th parallel. You keep going up, and you see that Adam's calendar, one of the oldest historical calendar rocks in the world, more than 75,000 years old, is on the 30th parallel. And so these grids, so we had gridded the earth. I need to say this, even before Kemet came into existence, star charts were already plotted by the ancient Kushites. Now, if the ancient Kushites did not do it, then they inherited from Lemuria and Atlantis. But the ancient Kushites right now are credited for it because they're the ones that actually made the charts. So that was not done by ancient Kemet. Kemet just redid that. So I need to tell you, Kemet is the child of ancient Kush. They don't know. Do y'all understand that? It's the child of ancient Kush. There's something called the Quastil incense burner. In my book, on page 39, in the introduction, I'll just kind of hold it up just a little bit here so you can see it. But you'll see this is the Quastell incense burner. The Quastell incense burner, the date they put to it is approximately 3800 BCE. Now, we know that's off. It's probably closer to 45 because Kemet comes into existence around 42. But the European Egyptologists tell you that Kemet don't come into existence till 3100. So you might ask me, well, if Kemet came into existence 42, why do they put 31? Because if we go back to 42 BCE, where were they? They didn't. They're in the cave. No, they existed, but they in the cave. They didn't have no cities, no countries. There is no Greece, no Rome, none of that. And so they need to be able to put it near something that they can plot in Asia. So you got Mesopotamia, you got Cuneiform, you got Canaan. Those countries were in existence around 3000 BCE, 31. So they want to put Kemet in the same category, but they don't have no record date. No anthropologist dated something and said, oh, okay, that's 3100. No. Egyptologists is a club. They just made that date up because it fit nice and it fit just like a puzzle piece right in with Mesopotamia, Cuneiform, ancient, Sumer, and those places like that. Now, Sumer, if you look at the the Tigris and Euphrates, if you look at older maps, it'll say Indus Kush Valley. Why is the Kush in there? Why is it Indus Kush? Because Kush are the founders of the civilization there. The city of Canaan was founded by Nimrod. Who is Nimrod? He is the son of Kush. So what I'm trying to allude to here real quickly is that the founders of cuneiform and the civilization that you see in the so-called Middle East, I say so-called Middle East because there's no Middle West, no Middle North, no Middle South. That was a terminology just made up during European war to clump people into a geographical area and to take Egypt out of Africa. So you think Egypt's not in Africa, it's in the Middle East. No, it's in Northeast Africa. And the Middle East is a fictitious place created by Europeans during their European wars. Okay. So, is everybody with me? Am I going too fast?
Nope. Nen.
Okay, so now we're getting, so we got the Indus Kush Valley. So it's called Kush because Black people from Africa, from the ancient Kush came in there and they're called the Gigis, the Blackhead, the Gigi. There's a book I'm gonna give you reference to. It's called The Wonderful Ethiopians by Drusilla Houston. The Wonderful Ethiopians, Drusilla Houston. Most profound book to this date. It was written in the 1930s on ancient Kush and its effect on Asia. It shows you how all those Southern Asian countries were Africans who just migrated in there and set up shop. So now there used to be an argument, what's older, cuneiform or Kemet? I think we kind of put that to rest, that ancient Mdw Ntchr is older than cuneiform, but they're kind of like brothers and sisters. Okay, but the cuneiform comes in together around 3100, but the Mdw Ntchr goes back as fourth. Narmer united Kemet around 4240. So Mdw Ntchr was already being used. It's on the Narmer palette. So the Narmer palette can be found in the British Museum. As soon as you come in, you'll see it. Yeah, can you just bring it up?
I'm going to share screen. Hold on for a second.
You can leave it the estimate set. Okay. So what you're looking at on the screen.
Can they see it?
Hmm?
Can they see it? Ask them if they can see it.
Can everybody see the maze head?
See you.
This is
Yes.
This
You-
is sculpture of a mace head from Scorpio. Scorpio is a king that existed before Narmer united Upper and Lower Kemet. So you can see there's writing here. So this is before Kemet came into existence. This is the king before Kemet. I just showed you the Quastel incense burner, which is even older than this. And it has Mdw Ntchr all on it. So we know that the Mdw Ntchr is at least 4,000 or 5,000 years old. So cuneiform definitely can't hang with that. That would be like Magic Johnson or Michael Jordan and the Playground King, okay, fighting, going one-on-one with each other. No contest, okay? So I hope y'all understand that parallel. So writing, and the first writing had to do with commerce. So I need you to understand this. Not necessarily just history and culture, but it had to do with economic, commerce, and trade. The Happy Valley and the Happy Itiru became the mouthpiece of the African continent. Remember, the Happy River, the Happy Itiru, flows down north from the interior of Africa. So let me say this, there's 3 mountains of the moon, and they're contributors to the Happy Itiru. So the Happy Itiru is the longest river in the world. The Amazon in South America is the 2nd largest. And the contributors, you have the Mountain of the Moon, Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, which is the tallest mountain in Africa. Then you get Mount Wanzori in Uganda, which is the source of the White Nile, the White Itiru, or Hedge Itiru. The Hedge Itiru, which means the white happy. And then you have Mount Choka in Ethiopia. And at the head of Mount Choka is Lake Tena. It's a crater inside of it is a giant lake. And that becomes the source of the Blue Nile. And the Blue Nile meets the White Nile in Sudan at Khartoum. So from Khartoum, then it flows north all the way down through Sudan and into Egypt and Kemet, and then finally into the Wedgie Wur. The Mediterranean Ocean, the Mediterranean Sea, was called the Wedgie Wur, which means the Great Green. The Wedgie Wur, the Great Green. So the Happy Itiru flows into the Wedgie Wur. And the contributors is the White Nile, the Blue Nile, and the Atbara River. The Atbara also flows out of Mount Choka from Ethiopia, and it's a contributor. So those are the 3 major contributors of the Happy Itiru, coming from the interior of Africa. And so the culture flows from the south to the north. And so now you have some ancient names of ancient Kush. Kush was also, like I remember, some people will call it Kush. That's just, they just messed up the terminology. Another name is Tarseti. Tarseti would be more where Sudan is today. And Tarseti means the land of the bow. Some of the greatest marksmen in the world in terms of the bow and arrow were there in the Sudan. Their warriors were second to none. Even Alexandria, who had conquered the known world, didn't want to go in there and mess with them. The queen of Ethiopia came to the border with about 100 elephants and all their marksmen and said, if you want to come try this. Alexander said, no, maybe we need a treaty. We'll be friends, you know. And Alexander, even though he's supposed to be the greatest warrior, did not go into ancient Kush. He made a treaty with them and never went in. Okay. So another name another name of Kemet became Tameri. So you're going to get three names of Kemet. You have you got Kemet. You have Tameri. Tameri means the beloved land. Ta and then Meri. M-E-R-Y. Tameri, the beloved land. And then you got Sema Tawi. S-M-A, Sema Tawi, T-A-W-Y. So those are the three names of Kemet. Kemet, Tameri, Taseti. Names of Ethiopia today, ancient names is Kash or Kush, Taseti, Nubia, which I say that's what they call the land of the gold. And you got the word Nubians, means people of the land of the gold. So that's where you know, like if you go to Egypt today and you go to the southern area, they'll call you, Nubian Americans, Nubians. You know, so they call the black people in Egypt even today Nubians, people who come from the land of the gold. Central Africa, I told you, was called Ntchr. And then you had a sacred place called Punt, which is probably over where Somalia was. And these people consider themselves the ancestors of the ancient Mdw of Kmt. So you got a little background. Now, all of that's in existence before Kemet. Now, Narmer, so Narmer comes from where? He comes from Kash. He unites the border, the coastline, and Kash together to create Kemet. And then Kemet will go, and then Heru, Aketi, will have the head. It used to be the black lion, Penmak. Penmak is the black lion from ancient Kush. They recarved the head into the Nasut Bitti's head, the high priest. Every Nasut Bitti was the high priest. So there's the Narmer palette right there. So you can see the Narmer palette. This shows Kemet uniting the upper and lower together. On one side of the palette, he has a white crown. On the other side of the palette, he has the red crown. So the white crown became synonymous with upper Kemet, the south, and the red crown became synonymous with lower Kemet, the north. So this begins the first golden age. Now, I know all the books that you see got dynasties, the first dynasty, second dynasty, third dynasty. That was done after Kemet had fallen. The Greeks went back and renamed all that. Narmer never knew he was in the first dynasty. Khufu never knew he was in the fourth dynasty. Akhenaten had no clue about the 18th dynasty. So my teachers, Dr. Senjeti, who was Jacob Crothers, Dr. Jacob Brothers, Dr. Asa Hilliard, and Dr. John Henry, Dr. Ben, and Dr. John Henry Clark, those four people came together and reorganized and renamed this area, and we broke Kemet into 4 golden ages. So the first golden age would be what the Europeans call dynasty 1 through 6. So you can jot this down. So dynasty so-called 1 through 6 is the first golden age of Kemet. But remember, it's the first golden age of Kemet, which is an offshoot of some golden ages that existed before Kemet. I just showed you the Narmer palette, which shows you, let me just go back to the Narmer palette before I go any further. The Narmer palette, which is in my book again on page 39, shows you that the king is sitting on his square, the throne, and he has a white crown on. So the white crown, symbolic of the king of the south, was already old before Kemet came into existence. He has the Ntchr in his hand. The Ntchr is a royal insignia, meaning I can feed and I can defend my people. Was already, remember, this is 500 years before Kemet came into existence in ancient Kush. It already shows Heru as a symbol of the king, the great falcon. And he's on top of a Sarek, a great brick structure. So Imhotep is not the first person to make brick buildings. Okay, he comes from a whole clan of builders. They come from ancient Kush. The incense burn also shows 3 different types of boats. Certain boats that are they travel up and down the Ntchr, the Nile River. Other boats that travel the oceans. And so when you see the Olmec heads in Mexico, Central America, those are Africans from Kush and Kemet who navigated by water. Ocean-going ships. They were able to trade elephants in Asia. You can't put an elephant in a dugout. A canoe, okay? Are y'all starting to understand what I'm saying here? All right, so that's all on the incense burner, showing it 500 years before Kemet came into existence. So when the first golden age came into existence, Kemet was already flying. Narmer brought in science, engineering, irrigation. Farming was already at a high level. And so Kemet became a farming nation. So the first golden age, one of the great works that comes out of that is something called the Mir Kut Sabiat, which is the pyramid text. So during the first golden age, some of your greatest writing, and the book of Ptah Hotep, which is believed to be one of the oldest books in the world. It's really Hotep Ptah, but because the Europeans got you upside down, inside out, and backwards, they say Ptah Hotep, okay. So, but the book of Ptah Hotep is supposed to be one of the oldest books of, and it's a book of moral concepts. He passes down wisdom to his son on how to be a good ruler. So also this first, what's brought into Kemet from ancient Kush is the 42 laws of Ma'at. Dr. Penn like to say it comes from 147 laws that was in ancient Kemet. And they just took 42 and made the 42 prominent in ancient Kemet. Okay, so that's already first golden age. The pyramids are already erected, the first golden age. Saqqara is the main burial ground during the first golden age. Saqqara is the first, and there, before you get there, you go to Het-Ka Ptah, the house of Ptah. So the Ntchr that is being used at this time is Ptah. Ptah is the high Ntchr. Before Ptah, we had Khnum. How many people are familiar with Khnum? Khnum is depicted as a great ram, and he is the one that created all things on his potter's wheel. So he created man from the earth on his pot. That's why the Quran has man come from the black earth. That's why your Christian Bible says man was created from the earth. The Adam and Eve rib stuff, I don't know how y'all went for that. That's just a fairy tale. That's a fairy tale. What Christianity did is taught you fairy tales, make you not believe in logic, but to believe in fairy tales so that they can control your mind. So when somebody gives you something logical, like I'm giving you, you so used to fairy tales. And guess what? You don't have to prove fairy tales. Nobody in the Bible that you know of existed. You can't find nobody's mummy, nobody's grave, no temples, but yet that's only 2,000 years ago. And the stuff I'm talking about is 4, 5, 6, 10,000 years ago, and we still got records of it. And let me say this, nobody in the Bible read the Bible. Right. But they tell you need to read it. Okay, all right, so I'm just just letting you know some background. So ancient Kemet now is in existence. You saw the Narmer palette. You saw all of the paraphernalia was already there. So the first golden age is already, it's golden. They build them. Listen, you can't build. The Japanese tried to build a pyramid like with all the technology they got, and it collapsed. They couldn't do it, and it was only going to be about 5 stories high, 10 stories high. The pyramid is 55 stories high, and was the tallest man-made structure on the planet Earth until they built the Eiffel Tower in the 1800s. And the Eiffel Tower is just a restaurant. The French wanted to have the tallest building in the world, so they built the Eiffel Tower. It's all metal, and it goes up, and then it's got a restaurant up there. You can eat up there and get a view of Paris. Other than that, it has no real function. And so then that became the tallest building in the world, and until later structures,
Baba, if we have questions, can we interject or should we save questions?
Say that again.
If we have questions, can we ask a question?
Yes.
Or should we save the questions?
At the end, because I'm almost finished here. Okay. So now, that's the first golden age. So I need you to understand. So one of them, the book of Ptah Hotep and the Mir Kut Sabiat, which is called the pyramid text. And you're going to, if you go to the pyramid of Unas, in the pyramid of Pepi, 1 and 2, and then one of their sons, one of the high priests, and that's where the pyramid text is. So you can go see it today. I'm going in December. I take people in. I'm reading the stuff right off the wall. We got another trip going in February with Hoppy. So I have a trip going in December, and we have another trip with Hoppy, and I'm the tour guide for both of them. Now you have an intermediate period, and this is broken down in my book also. I have called chronology. The Kemet chronology of ancient Kemet. And that starts on page 38 in the introduction. And I go through each of these stages, and I break it down to some detail. So the second golden age, where the intermediate period is about 150 years or more. This is a state of chaos. So before you even ask a question, well, what happened to this great nation that could not be conquered by anybody? They're building pyramids and temples. How did they fall? Well, the Hopi River stopped flowing. The monsoon rains shift. Probably a sun flare shifted and infected the whole planet Earth. Dried up. The Sahara dried up. There used to be people in the Sahara, Western Sahara, about 5,000 BCE, that totally dried up, and those people migrated into where we have ancient Kemet. So you have people coming from up south, from the interior of Africa, Uganda, Congo, all in there, traveling down north. And then you got people from the Western Sahara coming across into the Hopi Valley, because that's the only water. So after about 150 years, and during that time period, you had no one ruler. You had just what we call little chiefs, local chiefs, landlords who control certain areas. And this is where some hyksos came in. So this is the first time Europeans were able to come in during this intermediate period. And some of them were hired as mercenaries to protect their land, because they could fight. Okay, so they were hired as mercenaries and stuff like that. And so this is how some of the Europeans, the first ones, began to come in during the intermediate period. Then Mdw Hotep, his family, about 2100 BCE, organized things in Waset, traveled down north, and eventually defeated the people in the north, the Delta area, and united the two back. And that's called the second golden age. So Mdw Hotep, and I probably wrote one of the most profound books on Mdw Hotep. Here it is here. Mdw Hotep and the Spirit of the Magi. I got a volume 1 and a volume 2, Shimsu Haru Mdw Hotep. And that talks about the Western Sahara migration. So Mdw Hotep unites Upper and Lower Kemet again for the second time. So now let me ask you a question. How many people here were really prolific in understanding who Mentuhotep was before you start studying Kemet? So here we got somebody that united the greatest nation in the world together and ushered in the classical age. And you don't know nothing about him. You know about Napoleon, who got his butt kicked every place he went. But you don't know nothing about Mentuhotep, who united the greatest nation in the world and ushered in the classical age. So the Mdw Ntchr never got better than it did in the middle period. Scribes became one of the most important professions that you can have. Writing became prolific. Women had the same rights as men. Women began to go to school. He's the one that introduced schools to everybody. In the first golden age, only the elite got educated. The royalty got educated. The extremely wealthy got educated in the first golden age. The second golden age, he made it open to everybody. If you were a farmer, your children could be a scribe. If you were a trader or a soldier, your children could be a scribe. If you were a scribe, you didn't have to pay taxes, you didn't have to join the military, and you could get a royal grave. So, that was like a whole lot of perks. You're able to get a royal grave. You didn't have to pay taxes. You didn't have to go to military. And there were some other perks from being a scribe. So he really proliferated. So that's the second golden age. That's Mentuhotep lives about 2050 to about 2000 BCE. 2050 to about 2000. And then his son takes over, Mentuhotep III, and then there's a fourth, and then it comes to an end, and we go into the 12th so-called dynasty, which is still the middle part of the second golden age. So the second golden age is going to be the 11th, 12th, and the 13th so-called dynasties. Okay, then you go to an intermediate period, and then we have the third golden age. The third golden age, Ntchr and Amos. The 17th dynasty, they try to cut that out, but the 17th and 18th dynasty is all really one. It's the same family. And that's the beginning of the third golden age. That's going to take you all the way to the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th dynasty. The 21 dynasty, then the Libyans come in. That's another what we call intermediate period. Foreigners take over. And then finally, the fourth golden age are the Kushites, Kashta, Pianki, Shabaka, the golden heroes of ancient Kemet. That's the fourth golden age. So those are your four golden ages in ancient Kemet. And again, in my book, Spiritual Warriors and Healers, I kind of lined them out. And not only that, I give you their pictures. Look at this. How are you going to say those are not Black people? This is ridiculous, okay? You have people saying that the only kings came in with the Kushites in the 25th dynasty. Well, I want to know, who are all these people? Who are all these people? So people, right now, questions and answer from the first golden age in ancient Kush. Hit me now if you have a question before Ankas comes back in.
I do have a question. I have been getting more into like Ma'at, the 42 laws. How can I go about finding the other 100? You said it's 142 laws that they have?
147 laws of Ma'at.
147.
That's an ancient Kush. You got to do some really deep digging to get something like that. You definitely need to be reading the Mdw Ntchr. Because the Europeans are not going to lead you to that. So by the time you get to the advanced class, to my class, then you'd be ready to do your own research for that. So you got to go through records. You're not going to go through many European records and get that.
Okay. And how did they go about coming up with these laws? Like
these laws, they were passed down. Remember, Kemet started full blown. Ancient Kush, I told you, probably was an offshoot of ancient Lemuria and ancient Atlantis. And so the Kushites are the first civilized human beings after the last great ice age. The last great ice age might have destroyed 85% of the world's population, because most people lived around coast areas And when water rose 200-300 feet, it flooded all that out, tsunamis, rains for all, hundreds of days in a row. And so most people on the planet was wiped out. So people had to start all over again. But ancient Kosh, and Africa is a plateau. So you need to know that. The whole continent of Africa is a plateau. It's above water. So most of Europe is below water. So I need you to understand that. Okay, so Africa is the first to emerge. And so civilization started there after the Great Flood. We're the only people with memory. Nobody else has memory of what's going on. Another question.
And the question I have, how can a civilization start full blown?
Because it's inherited from someone else. If there's a golden age prior to this, I just mentioned, there were golden age prior to the Great Flood. And then after the Great Flood, the only people who had this knowledge now became ancient Kosh. Then they give it to Kemet. So Kemet starts full blown. That's how it happens. It's like you're the father and you got all this information and your son go and start another country and you give him all the information that you got. So he don't have to start all over.
Okay. Okay. So the original people in Kemet, were they the Dogon? Were they the Twa?
Say that one more time. The original people of Kemet,
Yeah,
were the same people that you have in ancient Kosh, in Ethiopia, and Sudan. They tell you they come from the south. So I alluded to the people of Kemet come from the Western Sahara, and they come from up south, from the Congo, from Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia, Somalia, even to Central Africa. All of that migrated into Kemet. Kemet became the mouthpiece of the African continent.
Okay. Okay. Now you
So
touched
when I'm
upon
talking about Kemet, I'm not talking about just that little tiny place there. That the
Right.
history and the culture you see, Kemet just recorded everything in stone.
Okay. Now, with all of those contributions that you said about Sudan and Ethiopia, then who is the true mother of Kemet? Is it Sudan or is it Ethiopia?
Well, Sudan and Ethiopia was one place. And I told you that was Kosh. See, are you with me?
I'm with you. I'm with you. I just want to get clarification.
Those are artificial. The little area we only call Ethiopia was carved up after the Berlin Conference of 1884.
It's becoming more clear now, Baba.
Yes.
The other question that I had was, can you explain that concept of down north and up south? Because every time I think about it, I think I understand it, but then I just get more and more confused about it.
Anklis is going to break that down to you. We have the map that shows you the true orientation of the world. We even show you the maps that were even being used 2,000 years ago, still had a southern orientation. When the Europeans took control of the seas, then they turned it around. Not only that, the Mercator map has 3/4 of the world in this top hemisphere. Only half the world's supposed to be in the top hemisphere. So they distorted everything, turned the world all the way around. North is down, not up. But it's still magnetic north. When you read a compass, your compass north is facing you and south is facing out. That comes from ancient Kemet. South is up.
About that orientation.
So Agnes will talk about that spatial perspective, that orientation. So don't let that mess you up right now. And they got the cataracts backwards. So when you come up south, you ran across the last cataract and they named it the first one. And we still do it today. That shows you they're not even about real education. They're about control. It's our program, our way or the highway. You know, they're not trying to teach you.
Now, the other thing is that I know they said that Sudan, there's a lot of pyramids. There's probably more pyramids in Sudan than there is in Kemet. Is that true?
Oh, that is true. Even right now, there's more pyramids in Sudan than in Egypt, but they're smaller. The larger ones are in ancient Kemet. but Sudan has more pyramids, yes. Egyptologists are going to have you thinking that ancient Sudan, Nubia, Kush, was imitating Kemet and was copying them. But I just gave you an example. It's like father birthed his son went off and blew up. I'm 5'9". My son is 6 foot tall. So he outgrew me. That's what happened in ancient Kemet.
Got you.
The child outgrew the parent. And then the parents start taking lessons from the child. Okay, listen, Uncle's got some more things that she has to go over today. I want to say, Unc Uja Seneb Neb, Dua Ntchr. Thank you very much for allowing me to step into your life. Please read your chapters 1 and 2 so that you get this down. 1 and 2 is going to cover all of that with the Ntchr. Make sure you read that introduction. My introduction is 50 pages long. So read the introduction. A lot of the stuff I talked about today is in the introduction of Spiritual Wars and Healers. Dua, Mother Ntchr, surround you. You are a divine spiritual beings having a divine human experience. And when y'all finish this class, y'all will be moving up and hopefully you'll be taking classes with me. Dua Ntchr.
Wow, wonderful. Ntchr. How can I follow that? How can I follow that?
Yeah, because we had questions.
This is my master teacher, and I'm still a student. I'm still learning. I'm learning from the universe, and I have a Jedna that just put it all out. He gave you an entire course, and I'm sitting up there listening. I'm saying, hey, I learned that in advanced class, you know? So I'm saying, how in the world could they absorb this? How many of you are just starting learning Mdw Ntchr? Well, you heard the history, you heard the backing, the foundation of this course. And I am so grateful that we have him. I caught him. I had to go actually, you know, give him a ride here to present. And the best one to show you and to teach you is the master teacher that's the author of his books that we're using. We're using it as a reference book. So I'm just overwhelmed. And I know there's certain things that just went over, but I hope you took good notes because I'm gonna reiterate what he just went over. Before we go on, I want to show you this beautiful ambiance of the museum that we're located. We are sitting in right here. You can see the background. This is an actual museum, and we use it as our space for a shrine, our temple, our space. This is our sacred space. And I just want to give you a little look and a little gaze at our space, our temple. It's full of the actual images of Kemet. And this is just one area. We have all of the royal figures, the Ntchr, the priest and the priestess giving homage. Just want to give you a little glimpse. I can't really navigate, but I want to show you just a little. I don't think they can see it. But maybe the next time you will get a glimpse of our space. Oh, there is the, explain that, Mdw.
This is the Karas, which like is the ancestor to the modern coffin. So this is a Karas. This is a real Karas. if you see in ancient Kemet, that the Sahu would be done and placed inside of.
And who is this image? Is that Impu?
Yes, that's Impu to the side, who was the preparer of the way.
The preparer of the way. So we have the actual visuals of how Kemet looked. These images were taken directly off of the walls and is a replica of what you would see in Kemet. All right. We're gonna have to breathe a little because I was wondering, how are these people keeping up with him? And I hear his signature lessons over and over. And I have to absorb. I have to absorb little bit by little bit. I'm sure you were wondering all of the information we heard today. Mdw has his master class, and he explains and he instructs on a higher level. He has a master class 1 and a master class 2. He's opening up to those who want to transfer to his class to actually get more of the history and more of the culture. And you would still learn the Mdw Ntchr. I am his student. I am proficient in what he taught me, but I'm a little more detailed, and I'm at a slower pace. You would learn the alphabet, you would learn the grammar, you would learn most of the information in our books and our texts, how to read Mdw Ntchr, how to write, but that would be on a fundamental level. If you choose, his class is open to you, and you see that it's dynamic, very dynamic. So please let us know what you want to do going forward. Mdw's class is preparing people to travel with him. You want to talk about that? He has a trip in December, and he's scheduled to go back to Kemet in February. And his class is accelerated that you would have that experience and know how to read the temple walls and know how to read the columns and the tombs and the temples and the writing on the wall. So again, if you're interested, put it in the chat. Just say yes or no.
You do both.
You can transfer very easily, and we've given you that option.
And tell them they don't pay anything extra.
You don't pay anything extra, which is nice.
Your
That's
registration was-
that's a discount. Whoever want to hop on it, that's a discount. But I have
Just
to
explain that it's a faster pace, so.
remind you,
Yeah.
it is an excellent training and a way to immerse yourself in this language and its culture. But however, it is accelerated. And sometimes you need the basics before you could rise to the master level. Again, it's open to your, whatever you decide to do. But my class will give you a similar experience, but you'll have a chance to breathe. Mdw takes you on the mountaintop. So again, put it in the chat, whatever you would like to do is available.
Can you do both?
You can do both, definitely.
Okay.
You can do both for the.
I don't want everybody to leave me.
Uh,
We need company. We need each other, especially on the basic level.
You can do both, or what's the cost difference?
He's want to know what's the cost of my class and your class, doing both at the same time.
No, tell them. He's paying 175. So tell him he's paying 175. Tell him he would just pay extra $25 each quarter.
Extra $25. Y'all better jump on that.
Yeah,
You-
you sign me up.
Count
Sign
me
me
in.
up.
Yeah, count me
Sign
in.
me
Count
up.
Count me in.
Because they have 4 payments.
Okay,
So it's $25.
that's what he's saying. He's saying, if you want to join his class along with mine, and take both
Mhm.
classes, is an extra $25 a month. And
Okay.
you, and both classes will be acceptable.
Okay. What
Accessible to you. Now, I would jump on that.
is
How
it?
do
A
you-
week?
how-
Is it a weekly class as well?
My class is on Sunday, 6 to 8.
His Sunday 6 to 8. Both is it? Wait a minute. The Master 1 is on Sunday. Master 1 class is on Sunday. This is the class we're talking about. And
How-
my
how-
class is this day, which is on Wednesday.
Seeing that they're only taking 175 a month out of your account, how would you add the other $25?
Tell him you would either have to like Cash App it, PayPal, or Zelle.
Okay.
You would pay, he just said Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle, and send that $25 a month to his account, his private account.
I think the best way forward is just let us know how to proceed. Like when you email us, those who want to do it, if it's a Cash App, Zelle, so on and so forth, just
And give you
include
the
that information.
information.
Yeah, because I'm definitely down for that.
Okay, that's
I'm good, and I think my brothers and sisters agree with me.
All right, all right. I'll send a group email to everyone and all of the information if you want to register.
Tell them if they're going to come in just to do it by wait, today is Wednesday. Yeah, tell them by Friday they should have letting you know so that I can have my administrator send them the class that they missed already.
Did you hear that?
Because we recorded just like this is recorded. We recorded and then we'll send you the class that you missed already.
So you just missed one of his classes. And if you make a decision by Friday, you will be signed up for the next Sunday. Sunday coming up. And I'll send that out possibly, hopefully tomorrow, I'll send out all the information. And that will give you a day to get it back to me. All right, all right. We went through a lot. I hope you took good notes, but you could
Next
also
Next step.
yes, you could also access the website in the video, the replay. We are going to continue the basic, which is very important. So before you go to the 13th chamber, I feel so elementary, like I'm in kindergarten.
Was that a Wu-Tang reference? 13 chambers.
I'm in the fence with Jehuti, you know, Jehuti. Getting, I see Angela, listen, cracking up.
Let me just put a plug in it.
Yeah.
Octus is an excellent teacher.
Yeah.
So those people who really want to master those fundamentals of making sure you understand the roots of the Mdw Ntchr,
Yes.
understanding your alphabet, biliterals, triliterals, complements, determinatives, understanding sentence structure. If you want to just really get that foundation down,
Yes.
Octus is going to be able to take you there. So do
I have one more question. When are those flashcards going to be available?
The flashcards are not is not ready yet. We still making kind of corrections. Those flashcards they are not perfected. So we will let you know, possibly, you know, next year, which
the next semester.
next semester.
Right.
But it has to be on a professional level before we get them out again. I understand they went to another website and got different cards. And those are functional, but they not on a professional level. So that's the holdup. We tweaking it and fine tuning those cards. So just look out for it. We'll let you know. Back to basics is the, oh, thank you for that plug, Master Teacher. And we're going to go right into the building blocks and the foundation of our class. The alphabet is known as monoliteral. When I say alphabet or monoliteral, you'll know that it's one and the same. It's one letter, which is consonants, a consonant, one letter with one sound. And once you get that and memorize it, you would go to the two letters. And those are two consonants with two sounds. And then you would learn the triliterals, which is three letters and three sounds. Okay. So we went through A to E last week. I want to continue.
A to F.
What's that?
A to F. F.
Yeah, we went through A to F. Excuse me, I'm setting up. I'm not in my regular location, so that I still have to use my whiteboard with the pen. A review. The letter A. Who knows what we talked about? Who remembers what this is?
A hog vulture.
Okay, that is symbolized the letter A. And here's another A. What is it?
Arm, shoulder, and hand.
Okay, we got to remember these letters, because just like the Western letters and just like any other language, you have to learn the fundamentals. The letter B. What is that?
The leg and foot.
A leg and foot that represents a B. No C's. We don't use C in the ancient language. We use the K in place of a C. And it looks like this. What is that?
The basket.
It is the basket. And moving on to the letter D.
Hand.
It is a hand. So we have A's, B, C, K, which is, and D. Erase this, and I'm going to sketch this. What is that?
The reed flower.
Is what?
Reed flower.
Is
Or
a
leaf.
reed flower, the letter E. It represents an E and an I. Everyone got received my chart, right?
Yes.
To you.
To you. Yes. To you.
If you receive the chart, you know what this is. But actually, hold on for a second. We have to know how to sketch it. So we did the leaf. We drew a straight line, another line right next to it. And then attach it. and attach. So that's how I do that. And eventually you have to sketch. When you get familiar with these symbols, you want to sketch it and use stick figures and make sure you have the mobility. And I'm trying to think of a name. Just feel those letters out so you can sketch it quickly. So that's an E, a F. Just make us a small little, it looked like a little worm, but it's called a horn viper. A horn viper because of the horns on the head part. Horn viper. F, G. The G, who knows what the G is?
Stool.
It represents a stool, like a chair, a stool. Is the definitions on the chart that I sent you? Is the word on the chart?
No.
So make sure that you know what it is when we do this, when we go over it. G, H. The H is two or three H's. This is a courtyard. We call it a courtyard or a reed shelter. Courtyard or reed, R-E-D, shelter. Courtyard or reed shelter. That's one H. Another H is like a helix or a DNA strand. This is a twisted flax. So both of them represents an H. Twisted flax. What it is, it's a piece of, it looked like a piece of rope twisted together. Okay, I'll give you time to finish your rendering and sketching, and we're going to move on to the next letter.
Could I see the G again, please?
The G.
Yes. Oh. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Connect those lines. And this should be little legs like. This represents a G. A stool. Okay, it represents G. Which letter are we on? G-H. The I is the same as the E, which is a reed flower. The E or I. No, we're gonna skip to the J. That is a cobra, like a snake. Now, don't get it mixed up with the horned viper. The snake and the cobra.
Oh,
This,
yeah, yeah.
This is
Yeah.
like a striking cobra. You know, when you think about the hood of the snake, the head going up. And sometimes in martial art, you have Jehuti, with the striking head. So that J is, it represents the cobra, JH. The K, I just spelt it out, which is a representation of a basket. Any questions before I keep going? L is the lion. This is a challenge to draw a whole body lion, but I would start out with drawing a 5, the number 5. And this part represents the head of a lion, and I would fill in the body. I'm not an artist. I need a little practice, but I'll do it again. I drew the number 5, and I would hope that everybody would practice this. And then I fill in the body like that. It's a reclining lion. The letter L represents that sign. It looks like my screen is in reverse, but you know that this is a letter L. Yeah, I think my screen is reversed. M. And you know, all of these signs have sounds. So I'm saying the letter, but you have A, Ba, Ga, Da, and going forward. So the M is a M sound, as in milk, milk, milk. It's that letter looks like an owl, but we're drawing stick figures. The artists in the ancient days, they would render an image looking exactly the way it is. But for our writing purpose, we have to draw stick figures. Hold on for a second. Give me a second to set this up. I need another pen. I ran out. I would sketch a basket like this on top. And then I would draw a little body of the owl, and I would add legs, put a little face on it. And this is all you have to do, a very simple way of drawing that, that letter M. For the M, it has sound. The M sound. M-N. The N is a wave of energy. I would draw 5 points. No more than five points. Is everyone sketching with me? To you?
You.
Here.
5 points for the wave of energy. That wave of energy, it represents the sound n, N sound for needle, needle. It's a wave, if it's energy, that energy could be energy of a wave of water, a wave of electricity, a wave of energy. So it's moving and it's circulating, and it represents energy. The N, and it has a sound, n. The O is a lasso. That lasso represents the sound or, or. So that we're trying to get away from the ABCs, which is very abstract. And we're trying to think of sound along with the glyph, along with the ancient sign. We are training our mind to think of articulating a sound rather than going to the Western abstract ABC. So this is the O, and the P is like a box, not a not a rectangle, but a square. And that represents the P. You all have the chart. You can also refer to your chart. PQ. That is a hill slope. The pronunciation is articulated with the Q. The Q sound for queen, qua, quack, qua. R, the R as in rose, is the lips, a mouth, the lips, shows a sign for R, like ro, r. S, the S sound. It has two signs for S. One, you could draw a straight line, another line right next to it, and connect it. It's like it is a folded cloth. I'll do that again. And with these letters, you could write in any direction. If you write to the right, you have to keep it consistent. If you write it to the left, you have to write all of the letters to the left. If you start with the right, all of the letters to the right. That's just the basic. And I'll show you different variations as we go along. So that is the folded cloth. I want to finish the alphabet so that you could have it. So I'm going to speed it up. We have like a 10 minutes to finish the alphabet. ST. This is a very important concept, which is a loaf of bread. And this is T, like time, ta, or tameri, the letter T. It does look like a loaf of bread when it's really baked bread, not the sliced Wonder Bread, baked bread, the letter T, and U. We're going to just do a stick figure, but this looks like a little chickadee. It's called the quail chick. The letter is U or W, is a quail chick. The U, W, I just did the W, X, Y, Y. Here's a Y. show the Y as a double reed flower. And we just saw this reed flower. We just double it and have two flowers, two reed flowers. And that is spelled out like this. And it could be also written like this. If you see it either way, you know that it represents the letter Y, either the strokes or the double flower. You got that?
To you.
To you. All right, the last letter. We got through this. The last letter is Z. We can, or the Z, one second. The Z is written like a doorbolt, or it could be a Z or S. We saw the folded cloth as a S. But now the doorbolt can be a Z or S. We got through the alphabet, which is called the monoliteral. Any questions?
Yeah, really quick. There's two I don't know if we touched on. It's the U, the rope coil. Does that sound familiar?
The coil?
Yeah, the rope coil.
Oh, are you talking about the twisted flax?
No. This one here. Can you see my camera?
The rope coil.
And like I said, I don't want to interrupt, so I don't know if you're
No.
including it
Let's
or-
do this. Let's do this. I see. Is this Stace?
Yes.
And put
Can
your
you-
screen down a little more.
Can you see it?
2.
Thank you.
I know that the coil, I don't want to go there yet.
Okay.
It's 26 letters of the alphabet. I want to stay right there.
Got you. And I
And if
wasn't
I
trying to
go
throw
any
you off.
further, we'll go past time.
Okay, thank you.
But I want to finish A through Z, and I'll add on next week. But you're right, that's one of the letters, but it's addition to the 26 letters. Okay? And I just want you to stay right here and memorize the 26 letters.
Got you.
I don't want to give you everything like Master Nfandishi just did.
Overload you, right?
Yeah, you're gonna go from level 1 to Jehuti. We're not doing that. We doing little things. So when you reach him, you will have that foundation. You know, you see what I'm saying? You need the structure first before you go further. For homework, please write those letters 5 times going to the right and 5 times to the left. So this is an example. If I choose the letter B, I would write that B 5 times. And then reverse it, going to the left. You know, in the ancient writing, you have to identify these letters, whatever direction, in all directions. So the foot is going to the left, and then you flip it over, and the letters are going towards the right. Any questions?
Yes, so we're doing 5 times. So 5 times to the left, 5 times to the right for each for
each-
all the alpha.
for each letter.
Okay.
If you have a letter that is not two-sided, you would write it 10 times.
So the letter N for
The
noon.
letter N,
Make sure.
you would write it 10 times. Okay?
Can I ask a
Question.
Yes.
Thank you. Is that to be written with our left hands or just all
Say
with
that
our right?
again?
Is that to be written with our left hand as well? You were mentioning to write it with our left hands. Or
We're
is that
not gonna
just
get there yet.
Okay.
That is, we want to be familiar right now with the alphabet, with the writing and your memorization. The reason why the scribes write over and over is for to remember and to use your left brain, right brain, so that when you're familiar with the letters, then we're going to ask you to write it with your left hand, or your dominant hand first and then your non-dominant, because some people are left-handed. They would start with the left hand and then use the right hand to coordinate the right brain, left brain into balance.
Okay. Dua.
What's the next question?
I think you just answered it. I think you just answered it. I was gonna ask how come I was just gonna ask why do we write left and right, but I think you
Because
just
you're going to
answered the
be
question.
reading, when you start reading these ancient texts, you're going to see it written in all different directions, from the right side, reading to the right, and then you're going to see the characters going to the left. And you need to know and be familiar with the location and the position of letters.
So the reason that they wrote it that way, and like the ancients wrote it that way, is because of the balance of the left brain and the right brain, right?
Basically, yes.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And there is a certain symbol, and there's a certain terminology called ma'at. And the ancient Kmtu love to keep their society in ma'at. And that includes the letters in the language. So when you write from right to left to right, you are actually exercising your balance in the concept of ma'at. And when you look at we're going to start looking at some of the scrolls and the wajas and some of the texts. So not only did they write from left to right, they wrote from up to down, from above to below, to right to left. So you will get familiar with looking at some of the texts. We'll do that repeatedly, so you'll get used to looking at it. And like I said the other day, last week, when you look at some of the artwork and some of the texts, you would read the images first. Like right behind me, you see a story there, and you see images. So what they're doing, you see Npu next to the Karas, and looking at the Sahu and giving certain treatments to the Sahu for the to going into the afterlife. But you would look at it and you would read those images. And then when you see the Mdw Ntchr place right next to it, it would reflect what those images are doing. So you would read the images and you would read the Mdw Ntchr, and it should define what's happening. and it should define the story. On that note, people, we are almost at the end of our session. I just want to thank everyone for their participation. If there's anything else.
I have a question. I'm sorry. I'm on the website, but I guess I've gotten confused about how to get to the videos. So
Let's do this together then, okay? I'm going to share my screen. I'll come out of all of this. And when you go to the website, did you get that far to go in the website? Yeah.
I'm at the home page where it has a flyer.
Okay, I'm gonna let me go there. This is where you are.
Yes.
On the top, there's buttons on the top. One of the buttons say Mdw Ntchr Info.
Yes.
Where do you want to go again? You want to go to the video?
Yes.
Okay, so click on that Mdw Ntchr Info and then scroll down to Ma'at course content. I'm going to click on it. So click on that.
Yes.
Are you here at this page?
Yes.
It says Ma'at 1 on the left side, Ma'at 2. We're going to only go to Ma'at 1 on the left side of your screen. Do you see it there?
Yes.
Click the button. And now you're in the content. The video is to the right. When you click on that week 1 video 1, you're going to see the lesson that we went through last week. That was week 1. This night, this video will go here. I'll post it up maybe tomorrow or Friday for video 2. The documents are on the left-hand side. So you click on to look at the supporting documents. Above that, you have the class syllabus. Are you there? Are you with me so far?
Yes.
These black buttons, class syllabus, the book, the Gardener's book is right here, the second bullet, third bullet, you have the final exam, which will be posted on week 15. And we're not going to use the submit homework button. I asked everyone to submit homework via my email. Do you have my email?
Yes.
Okay, so that's it. So about 24 hours after this class, the video will be posted. Before I come out of this, is any questions about this course content?
I don't have a question about the course content, but I do have a question about I tried to book the class. Could you go over that book in the class and what to expect from that when you book the class so you can get in next week so you can have the links sent to you? And also another question is, do you have to book, if you're taking that second class with Brother Ntchr, do you need to book that class as well?
No, I don't think you don't have to book. We already went through the process. The process is if you choose to take his class in addition, you would send him directly $25 each month. And I would give you all of the details in an email, where to send it to.
Okay. So can you go over that book, the class for this class? Can you go over that book?
Class. Okay, so that's a different question.
Yeah, yes.
I'm gonna share screen and show you how to book the class. And please book the class every week so that you can get here it is. Go to Mdw Ntchr Info again. And the first right here, the first line, it says book Mdw Ntchr classes. Do you see that?
Yes.
Click that on. I don't think I can book, but I can show you. And that button is not working. Okay, it is working. When you click on that link, it'll take you to this page. You
Right. So
scroll
just-
down and look for my Beginner 1. Make sure it's Beginner 1.
Mhm.
There's a Beginner 2, there's a Haru and Jehuti, but scroll down to my Beginner. Click on the link,
Click on it.
book now.
Yep.
Okay,
Oh, that's all you have to do, because you don't have to like send it anywhere. You just click on book now and you're automatically booked.
when you click book now, you're clicking for next week.
Right.
When we leave this class, you can book as early as tonight.
Okay.
And it says the dates. This is the calendar. So you're gonna click on 18. That's the next class.
Right.
And then it'll give you the prompts to book the class, the 18. And it follows throughout each Wednesday. You could book the class anytime during the week before the class, and it will give you access to the link. You don't have to wait for me. The link will be sent directly to you. So if I wanted to book next week, I would click on 18. It would bring me up to Wednesday, October the 18th at 7 o'clock. And then I would click on next and go through the prompt. Is it clear?
Yes.
And that should be done every week for you to get the class link for that week.
Okay.
If you need any other clarification, get back in touch with me.
Okay.
I have one last question.
Okay, we're about to sign off.
Okay, just one. So once we finish all of the language classes, does that mean that we become scribes? And what is the Kemetic word for scribe?
Kemetic word for a scribe is sesh. And this training is 4 or 5 different levels. This is the very beginning, Ma'at 1 and 2. Then there's Haru, which is level 3. And it gets more advanced in Jehuti. And Jehuti and masterclass is conducted by Mdw Ntchr. So it is a gradual possession of moving up, and you will be deemed as a scribe. It takes work. Writing. The writing is very important. The grammar, the history, the culture, everything is combined. And we're going to look at a list of the prerequisite of knowing Mdw Ntchr. The Mdw Ntchr is a language and is a written language and a spoken language. And when you're proficient in all of the levels, you become a scribe. I'm going to let Mdw give the final words, because he did such a magnificent job. We're going to have him every week. He's going to give the final words and we're going to sign off.
Okay. So just to reiterate what Anklis was saying, when you go through all those levels, then you are also, well, you don't have to go. Once you go through this first level, you're eligible to become an initiate to the shrine Jehuti Haru Nebu, in which I'm the high priest. Like Anklis is an initiate member. Once you become an initiate member and you take those higher classes, like the 3rd and 4th level, then you become a priest or priestess. Not a religious priest, but a spiritual priest or priestess. And then you become an Ankh carrier. So you might have seen pictures that some of our functions, I have about 9 or 10 Ankh carriers. That means they're all priests and priestesses. And so they have various functions in the shrine. So when we have a function, Ankhness, she purifies the space, sages the space, and makes it prepared. Somebody else does the altar, somebody else. So no one person has to do everything. And so that's what happens. So the idea, and as a priest or priestess, then you become a teacher. And so you'll be like Ankhness, so you'll be teaching in a class somewhere. I looked at we have people from Hawaii, people from the islands, people, so you'll be eligible to teach in your neighborhood. So that's the idea of going to those high levels. You get certified. So when you get each level, you get a certification. You get a certificate. So once you get up to Jehuti, then you can become a teacher when you graduate from the Jehuti level, and you're an initiate. And you can go through initiation. You don't have to be here in New York. You could be in Timbuktu and go through initiation. That's 2 meetings a month, on a Sunday, and you just have to read certain books and stuff of that nature. Any questions? So we're going to close out. Shem Iem Hotep, Ankh Uja Seneb Neb. May all the Ntchr who came and guided with us and surrounded us and gave us knowledge and wisdom so that we can go forth. We say dua to you. Wow. May you continue to surround us, continue to give us guidance. May you follow the oracles of Ma'at so that you can become a divine spiritual being, having a divine human experience. Dua Ntchr.
Dua Ntchr.
Dua.
Dua Ntchr.
See you all next week.
Okay.
Much more.